Sweet mother of mercy, the 49ers had a good day. I'm getting into all of it in this video, including 3 new reasons to be hyped heading into the 2025 season. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and if you're looking for daily 49ers content, hit that subscribe button because that's what I'm doing on this channel every single day. Want to get into those stories, but first I wanted to get to the most recent poll, which is your favorite edge rusher not named Charles Haley, and you guys chose swimmingly, massively. 74% of you said Nick Bosa was your guy. If you go back to that 2022 season, it ranks up there with the best ever seasons for edge rushers. So I get why that one, why that player, I suppose I should say, is a player that's hard to look away from. And the 49ers have been fortunate to have a lot of great edge rushers and tackles over the years. We're going to have to get to tackles on a different day. I've got so much stuff going on, and I had to work super late today. It's been a long day, and I'm working late tomorrow as well, but we'll get back to those polls in a little bit. I want to jump straight into the news that I'm hyped on, though, and I think you're going to feel pretty hyped about it as well. Starting with the salary cap news, I'm sure by now you've heard about the 49ers getting exactly what they needed. In salary cap news, the 49ers, in a way, they've been kind of banking on the salary cap news going the direction that it has, and it's paid off every time. They've been betting on it, and it's been paying off. Now, I see 3 huge reasons why this is good news by itself, not including the other 2 things I want to talk about in this video that should have you feeling really hyped. So stick around for all of that. But before I get to those 3 things, I just want to get some details out there, starting with what Ari Meirov reported. The NFL informed teams today that 2025 salary cap will be roughly $277 to $281 million per Dan Graziano. That's an increase of $22 to $26 million from last year and beats what most executives were anticipating. So that's basically coming around to $50 million over 2 years added to the salary cap. Some other statements out there while we're talking about the word $50 million. While we got that number out there, Sterling Bennett posted that Over the Cap today estimates that the 49ers have $50 million in salary cap space. Could go a long way to retaining Dre Greenlaw or even extending Brock Purdy, George Kittle, or Fred Warner. Either way, great news for the 49ers. I'd argue if I could. Continuing on, David Lombardi had another great point talking about the great news for the 49ers who have structured deals to surf the wave of a rising salary cap, which again, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. You keep kicking the can down the road, it can definitely bite you in the butt at some point. But fortunately for the 49ers, it has continued to work out well. Last 2 NFL years, cap increase, 2024 plus 13.6%, heading into 2025 plus 8.6% to 10.2% to be determined. And by the way, last time they ran that number out there, last year, they ended up being it wasn't 5%, but it was quite a bit bigger, maybe 5 million bigger in the end than even what they had anticipated. By the time we have the final 2025 number, the NFL salary cap may have increased by 25% in just 2 years, which is a monstrous number. We're not going to see that every single year, but we can thank all of those companies out there that are working really hard to get the NFL in front of your eyes, because that definitely helps in getting these salary cap increases. The 3 things that I feel like this really benefits the 49ers in, starting with number 1, would be the Brock Purdy deal. They've already, said from the very beginning what they wanted to do with the Brock Purdy deal and how deep they wanted to go into that rabbit hole. This helps them, of course, in that respect. Number 2, having the opportunity to keep one of these free agents that we do care about around at the right number. The 49ers, I think, would keep all of the free agents, well, most of the free agents on this roster. But obviously, guys like Hufanga and Greenlaw are the ones that are most anticipated to leave based on if the team can actually afford them. And I would love to see Dre Greenlaw stay with the 49ers for at least 1 more year. I think it could be a huge benefit to the 49ers, and I think we can still get him at a reasonable price. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But the salary cap definitely helps guys like those in the opportunity of getting those guys around. But number 3, a rising salary cap rewards good business, and it rewards those who bet on this happening and structure their deals based on those rising hits or rising salary caps. What am I trying to say? it really benefits those who are structuring deals with the rising salary cap in mind and are really structuring those later years to have those hits. As long as the salary cap continues to expand, then that percentage of salary cap impact by the time you actually get there is smaller than what it was when you signed the deal, but the player still gets what they want. They still get the value that they believe that they're bringing to the club. So it's all in all, it's a win-win situation if you can structure deals this way and also benefit from the rising salary cap. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but I think this is one of those fortune favors the bold situations where the 49ers take a massive benefit because they've been anticipating this, whereas other teams, maybe don't get that same benefit. So we are lucky that Jed York and Prog Marate and these guys are out there working really hard to make sure that we have the best possible roster we can. And you know what? Heading into the 2024 season, I really did believe we had the best roster in football if everybody was healthy. So I still think we're in a very, very good situation going forward. Let's move on to the second thing that has me absolutely hyped. I'm trying to look back on my notes here to say, what did I actually promise you at the beginning of the video? So I said 3 new reasons to be hyped about the San Francisco 49ers. So the first one, of course, is the salary cap and the situation the 49ers are in. But the second one, and this is, you gotta bear with me on this one, but what George Kittle said about CMC. This was interesting. If you didn't see this yet, George Kittle speaking up about CMC, declaring what he thinks will be a big deal. And I'll tell you why this is important to me in a second. But his actual quote is, "I think we're going to get the best version of Christian McCaffrey." Tight end George Kittle on Christian McCaffrey coming into the next season angry. So, okay, that's the quote. I love it, okay? Just by itself, I love it. But what it's giving me vibes of, and I had to put this picture up here. I'm sure you'll remember this day when the 49ers got payback against the Seattle Seahawks on their home turf and ate turkey legs on their home turf. And that's the vibe that I'm getting here. Not the literal vibe of that day itself, but the vibe of the 2023 season. I feel like this offseason, we are getting different vibes than we got last offseason was bad. All offseason, the vibes were wrong. We got into training camp. Everybody on the ground is reporting things are weird. Things are not the same. Vibes are off, right? And I feel like things are turning around, and I feel like the moves the 49ers have been making, I feel like the way that players have been speaking to media and stuff, like it's just been a completely different feeling to me. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I feel like I'm getting a different feeling, and I'm hyped about it. One other guy really defied the logic of how bad last offseason vibes was Deebo. Deebo is back and locked in. That's the third thing that I'm hyped about. Deebo is clearly, if you look at all the stuff he's been doing on social media to try and get guys like Max Crosby and Myles Garrett into a 49ers uniform, the work that Deebo's been doing, he is so locked in already on this upcoming season. And here he is tweeting, taking a picture outside the stadium, but then tweeting another year to prove it again. I love it. Let's go. So I'm really hyped on Deebo's attitude, the leadership he's bringing. Obviously, he's had his big payday now, so that is interesting in its own right. But I told you guys last season, I truly believe if you look over the whole of the season, and I have yet to watch the entire season back yet, but I will because I have to. But excuse me. If you look back over the whole of last season, name a more consistent defensive player last season. Like more consistent. Because it's not totally Fred Warner's fault that he had to make up for a lot of other guys around him. And it's not totally Fred Warner's fault that he had an injury that he was dealing with the majority of the season. He wasn't his best self every single game. For like those outside factors, for sure, playing a role in that. Deommodore Lenoir was outstanding. He was so consistent. He was so incredible. And I feel like it went unmentioned because the 49ers were so bad that it didn't get the credit that he deserved. He didn't get the attention he deserved. That's just my opinion. I feel like Deebo was incredible last season, and What we saw from Deommodore Lenoir last offseason is exactly what we're seeing right now. We saw a fire out of him that we were not seeing out of other players last offseason. The way he was doing interviews, the way he was talking, the game he was talking, and he continued to talk a big game all season long, and he continued to back it up all season long. So, yes, I am fired up about Deommodore Lenoir's attitude and the leadership he's going to be bringing to this team as he's stepping into that leadership role and this new era that we're going to see under Robert Saleh and company. So I'm super fired up about it. Hope you are too. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of that. But I think this is a flurry of positive, exciting, good news for us to get hyped on as we head into another fantastic offseason.